Chapter 6. The sharp edges of the shingles dug into Hollis's arms as he clung to the hole. Fearful of something falling on him, he glanced around in the slashing rain. The sound of the wind whooshing off the peak of the roof caught his eye, and for an instant he saw tiny tornadoes dancing there. The wind shifted and drove a torrent of water down the slant and into Hollis's face. He ducked his head closer to Letta. A piercing burn across his cheek jarred. His clenched eyes opened just as Letta's pigtails, with their hard plastic barrettes clipped on the end, whipped toward his face again. He jerked away and laid his sore cheek against Algie's back. The bangs and crashes returned, but Hollis didn't dare look again to see what was flying around. For a moment he recalled Jonas talking about the gnomes. "They can't get in here," he'd said. "We're outside now. All kinds of things can get to us." Leaves and sticks peppered his neck and arms and clung to his skin. A small plastic bottle and other trash skipped across the roof and bounced onto him. Every so often, pelting flecks of debris found an exposed bit of skin. They stung as badly as the time Darnell sneezed while pulling the trigger of the BB gun he'd gotten for his birthday and shot Hollis in the leg. Hollis struggled to see his arms and discovered them peppered with acorns from a neighboring oak. A long, slow hour crawled past before the screaming wind and brutal rain lessened. The bombardment of the elements finally over, Hollis let go of the hole and sat up, examining the deep ridges the shingles had left in his arms. Jonas uncurled and helped Letta and Algie wobble into sitting positions too. "Everyone all right?" G croaked. They nodded. Rising to his knees and then to his feet, Jonas staggered over the peak of the roof and out of sight. "Where are you going, Jonas?" Hollis called out. "Pee." "Oh, me too. Algie?" "Yeah." Algie grabbed Hollis's hand and disappeared over the peak as well. Letta waited until they came back. "Need to pee, G?" Jonas asked as Letta trudged off. He and Hollis helped G roll over onto her back. "Actually," said G with a wry grin, "my bladder got taken care of half an hour ago. Right about the time that hit the roof." She waved at a huge dead branch that had crashed next to her. "I'm hungry," Algie whined as Hollis sat him next to G. "Y'all got to eat and I didn't." "Nothing to give you now, boy," G said. "Left it all down below." Algie's whine intensified as Letta reappeared. "It's not fair. I want my breakfast." Letta took Algie into her lap and sat rocking and whispering to him. Hollis felt at a loss, unsure of what to do. "I'm beat," he said, sinking down onto the shingles. "That wind was blowing so hard." Letta piped up. "If it was still a Category 4, it probably was blowing 130 to 150 miles an hour." She sighed. "I'm tired, too. So's he." She pointed at the boy in her lap. Jonas and Hollis turned their heads. Silence fell. "Well, tell me," G snapped. "I'm too tired to sit up and check." "Algie's out cold. Thank you, Jesus," Jonas said. "No more whining for a while." "Watch your mouth, Jonas," G's voice lashed out. "The Lord's name in vain." "Nah, G, I mean it. I was praying." Algie could break glass with that whine. "And Letta, Miss Know-It-All? How can you see this mess and talk about wind speeds?" He shook his head. "Hollis started it," Letta said, a hurt expression on her face. "That's okay, Letta," G said. "Stuff you know. I'm proud to hear it." "Thanks, G," Letta said, laying Algie down on the roof where he rolled over and stuck his thumb in his mouth. Hollis lay back, flopped over onto his stomach, and dropped off to sleep. Hollis lay on a hot, hard sidewalk. All around him, kids played and laughed. His eyes fluttered open, and the sidewalk tilted to a slant and became the quiet roof. Blinking, he peeled his sticky arms off the shingles and sat up. Algie and Letta slept next to G, who lay on her back, a loud, buzzing snore blaring from her open mouth. Nearby, Jonas caught his eye and put a finger to his lips. Hollis nodded. He didn't want to wake Algie either. He turned his attention outward. The rain had stopped, but clouds still hung overhead. Except for the rooftops, treetops, and the light poles, everything lay under dark water. Hollis saw their neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Joseph, and their 8-year-old son, James, up on their roof. He waved to them, and Mr. Joseph waved back. "Y'all okay?" Mr. Joseph called. Jonas waved his arms. "Ain't this some jacked up mess?" Mr. Joseph went on, sounding disgusted. Jonas waved again. Neighbors sat or paced on their roofs as far as Hollis could see. Every so often, he saw an empty roof jutting up from the water. Hollis figured that no one in the neighborhood had evacuated. Hope those folks are okay. What time is it? He whispered to Jonas, who checked his watch. 3, he said. What do we do now? Jonas shrugged. Wait, someone will come. How long do you think that'll take? Jonas glanced around. Might be a while. I'm hungry now, Hollis said, whether I had breakfast or not. I wish we had some of G's cabbage. Yeah, red beans and rice? With lots of sausage, Hollis added, and then sighed. Or just some of that stuff Letta bought yesterday. Jonas nodded. Before long, you'll be begging for some of that spam. Hollis laughed. Never. Anxiety bit at his stomach. I hope they hurry. Yeah. 3 hours later, Hollis lay on his back watching clouds march across the sky. I hope Darnell and them got out okay, and everyone else. All my friends and their families, all the kids at school, the football team, the coach, even the teachers. He sat up. Jonas lay nearby, lip syncing to himself. Hollis stifled a smile as he watched his brother scrunch up his face like it was hurting. Karaoke face, Darnell called it. I'm glad he's keeping that up in his head. Jonas's singing stinks worse than a sack of farts. Hey, Jonas, he whispered. You think the schools are gone? Jonas's eyes opened wide and he sat up. Oh, man, of course they are. All this water. What are we going to do? We got to go to school. No, we don't, Hollis grinned. Not if we can't. Stupid, I'm a senior. I got 1 year left. I miss a year of school, I get behind. You know how long I've been waiting for senior year? Besides, basketball is going to start soon. I never thought of that, Hollis said. Our books are down there. Can't go to school if you don't have books, he pointed at the water. Or a school. I gotta find a way. What a disastrophe. Jonas clutched his head and rocked. Disastrophe? Hollis repeated. Good one. Jonas loved making up words. You make that up yourself, or did Trey or Kamal make it up? Me? Kamal couldn't come up with that to save his life. Jonas brooded, then gave a snort. What's Letta going to do with no school? Ugh, kill herself, Hollis laughed. Jonas, everything is underwater. Not just school books. Our games, the TV, all our clothes. Jonas nodded. I already thought of that. It sucks. So many things ruined, Hollis said. He frowned as a new thought hit. What about Dad? Is he out here somewhere? Under the water with everything else? He glanced at his brother. Jonas takes off when I talk about Dad. A smile crossed his face. He can't get away now.